Welcome back to tonight's special edition of When Radio Was, presented by the Baker Street Players, as we continue with the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Holmes and Watson encounter the Foreign Legion, a race against death and betrayal in Murder in the Casbah. The original show aired on December 3rd, 1945. Tonight's production was performed in front of a live audience at Baker Street West on Friday night, August 5th, 2017, and is sponsored by Carmere Vineyard and Winery. And now, Murder in the Casbah.
The New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, featuring Brad Lofswald as Sherlock Holmes and Joe Sveck as Dr. John Watson, presented from Jackson, California at Baker Street West by KVGC, Radio, the voice of the Gold Country, and featuring the Baker Street Players. A special thank you to the Ledger Dispatch for their support. Carmere Vineyards and Winery of Shenandoah Valley invites you to listen to Dr. Watson tell us another exciting adventure he has shared with his friend, that master detective, Sherlock Holmes. And as for me, well, I'd like to tell you, right now is the perfect time for a glass of Carmere Juana Primavera. This fabulous award-winning wine is loaded with luscious red fruit, a blend of Primitivo and Barbera. This award winner has tastes of cherry jam, vanilla, and smoke, which are further complemented by a touch of spice. The tannins help to create a long, creamy finish. The only thing needed to accompany this wine is a glass. I have mine right here. Perhaps I should offer a glass to our friend, Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson, shall I pour you a glass of Juana Primavera?
Ah, indeed, Mr. Brooks. What a perfect way to start our evening. Let's settle down to a good story with a superb wine from Carmere Vineyards.
Thanks, Doctor. The last time you told us that tonight's story took place in the Casbah at Algiers?
Yes, the Casbah. I remember it as a place of countless streets, winding up and down, past colorful cafes where 100 tongues are spoken, and often a street would end in a shadowy darkness, which a man would be foolhardy to enter alone. Yes, Mr. Brooks, that was the Casbah that Sherlock Holmes and I knew in that winter of '99.
Well, how did you happen to be out there, Doctor?
Do you mind if I tell you the story from the start, Mr. Brooks?
Of course.
It really began on a wintry night in Baker Street, at the conclusion of the strange murder in Montrevor Castle. A charming young girl sat on the sofa of our lodgings in Baker Street and talked to us.
But, Mr. Holmes, you can't say that you'll have nothing more to do with the Montrevors.
My dear Miss Tetfield, I found the true murderer of the Dowager Countess, and he committed suicide. Surely the case has ended.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, you found the real murderer. But now I want you to find the unfortunate young man who fled England 5 years ago when he was suspected of the crime.
This is a new development, Miss Tetfield. Please, tell us all about it.
It's Douglas Milton that I am talking about.
Oh, yes. He was the heir to the title, wasn't he?
Yes, Mr. Holmes. He was a sensitive, artistic boy, and when he knew that he was under suspicion, he ran away.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everyone regarded his flight as an admission of guilt. That is, until you found the real culprit, Mr. Holmes.
I imagine, Miss Tetfield, that your interest in the missing boy is not entirely, shall we say, altruistic?
I am in love with him, Dr. Watson.
Oh.
We were engaged to be married when he ran away. Mr. Holmes, you've got to find him. He must know that his name has been cleared and that he's inherited the title.
Miss Tetfield, have you any direct news? Any letter from your fiancé since he left you 5 years ago?
None.
Any clues as to his hiding place?
Only this. It's a painting I received anonymously a year after he had left.
Oh.
It was sent from a forwarding address in London. Here it is, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you.
Small oil painting. A very good one, too, I'd say.
Yes, it has a splendid sense of composition, and the use of colors is unusually brilliant. Do you recognize this painting as the work of your fiancé, Miss Tetfield?
I am certain of it.
Yes, wonderful use of color. Observe the delicate shadings of that sunset and the brilliant green of the oasis. This scene is extraordinarily reminiscent of the desert in North Africa.
Yes. That's what made me say I was certain he'd gone abroad, Mr. Holmes.
But why should he go to North Africa?
A good place, Watson, for an Englishman who imagines himself to be escaping justice. Remember, the Foreign Legion is stationed there.
Do you think he might have joined the Legion, Mr. Holmes?
It would seem logical. No questions are asked of those who join it, and its colourful obscurity might easily appeal to a young fellow in trouble. Hello?
What is it, Holmes?
There are quite a few grains of sand in between the canvas and the frame here. Miss Tetfield, do you mind if I pry the canvas loose?
Do anything you'd like, Mr. Holmes, if it gives you any clue to Douglas's whereabouts.
Give me your penknife, will you, Watson?
Here you are.
Thanks, old chap. Wait a minute. Here we are.
Can you see anything?
Yeah, look. The word Sharif and El Afron are stamped here. Sharif is probably the framer's name, and El Afron is probably a town some 50 miles from Algiers. That settles it. Miss Tetfield, I accept your case. Watson and I will go to Africa and try to find your fiancé, Douglas Milton.
Monsieur Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, I have heard of you so often, but I never thought I should see you here at the headquarters of the Foreign Legion. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
Well, Colonel de Brisson, I am trying to trace an Englishman who has been missing during the last 4 years. I've reason to believe that he might have joined the Legion.
I shall look into my records. Let me see. 4 years ago, it'd be 1895. If Sherlock Holmes is tracking him, then I suppose he was in trouble in his own country. If he was in trouble, he might have easily come to us. We ask no questions. 97, 96, 95. In that year, 3 young Englishmen joined us. One of them died of dysentery 2 years ago in Sidi Rachet. One of them deserted 18 months ago, and we have been unable to trace him. The third is my adjutant, who brought you into my office just now.
And he is, I would say, about 3 inches shorter than Douglas Milton. And men do not shrink in the Foreign Legion, eh, Colonel?
They do not, Monsieur Holmes.
Then the fellow who deserted must be our man.
Unless it's the one who died of dysentery. Colonel de Brisson, how would you advise us to set about trying to track a deserter?
Monsieur Holmes, there's only one place in Algeria where a man can hide from the Foreign Legion and remain hidden.
Oh? And what's that place?
The Casbah, in Algiers.
Then that's our destination, Watson.
Be very careful, please, gentlemen. The Casbah is a place where the law is exiled. The police have no jurisdiction there. The only rule is that of strength, violence, and trickery.
We shall be very cautious, I assure you. Goodbye, Colonel de Brisson, and thank you for your help.
Well, I must say that I think that the Colonel de Brisson rather exaggerated the dangers of the Casbah. I suppose you're going to tell me this cafe is the headquarters for a dope smuggling ring, or white slaving or something.
Its ramifications are even more extensive than those you've mentioned.
You're joking, Holmes.
I assure you I'm not, old fellow.
What?
My old friend Dumel is chief of police in Algiers. When I told him our mission, he advised me to come here. A 500-franc note, and the proprietor can obtain any and all information regarding the underworld. For as little as 200 francs, he can arrange a murder. So that gives you some idea of the relative values in the Casbah.
Good Lord. Then you've already spoken to the proprietor?
Oh, yes, a charming, scoundrelly fellow by the name of Raffi. I gave him 500 francs and asked him to set his underworld grapevine in motion to see whether an Englishman living and hiding in here in the Casbah could be found.
And I thought we'd come here for a quiet meal.
Here comes Raffi now. Let us hope he has news for us. Here we are, Raffi. Come sit down, won't you?
Raffi works fast. Does he not, Mr. Holmes? Your friend is?
My friend knows that you're working with me. What have you found out?
A drink first. The tongue of Raffi is parched. Would you have me die of thirst before I give you my news? Vermouth cassis.
Oui, Monsieur Raffi.
You have some news for me, then?
But yes.
Good. What is it?
First you will pay me the money, no?
But I gave you 500 francs. You said that you'd do the job for that.
Can you help if some tongues are more costly to make wag than others? It took the 500 to get the wag. Am I to have nothing for my own trouble?
Pay Vermouth Cassis, Monsieur Raffi.
Good. The gentleman will pay for it.
There you are.
Merci, Monsieur.
I will drink your health, gentlemen. Both of you. You will pay me more money, no?
But my friend's already given you 500. You should stick to your bargain, my good fellow.
My information is at a bargain. At 750 francs. It would be a bargain at 1,000, but Raffi will let you have it for 750 because he likes you.
I see.
You give it to me, no?
And if I refuse?
But then you get no information. And perhaps I spread the news in the Casbah that makes it uncomfortable for gentlemen to be here.
Great Scott, this is blackmail.
I get the money, no?
You're a scoundrel, Raffi.
Of course I am a scoundrel.
Here's your money. The information.
There is an Englishman hiding in the Casbah. I do not know his name, but he is a tall, fat head. I cannot tell you where he lives, but if you go to the Cafe of 1,000 Sighs, you will find a girl who sings there. A girl who sings like a nightingale. Her name is Alicia. And she can lead you to your Englishman.
A girl named Aisha in the Cafe of 1,000 Sighs.
That is right. I would suggest you go there in disguise. Two well-dressed Englishmen might find themselves in trouble. For a small fee, say 200 francs, I will escort you there myself.
Thank you, yes. I think we can manage by ourselves, Raffi.
If your businesses are concluded quickly and time weighs heavy on your hands, Raffi can find some places of rare interest. Dancing girls that will wither one's eyeballs with their beauty for 500 francs, gentlemen.
Thank you, Raffi, thank you. I have a feeling that time will not weigh heavily on our hands. Good night.
Ah, you work too hard, gentlemen. You should learn to play. Good night.
Upon my soul, I think that fellow's the biggest blackguard I have ever met.
I quite agree, old chap. But he is amusing.
By the way, Holmes, don't you think that when this case is finished, we might have some time on our hands?
Watson, you're incorrigible. But I think that... Watson,
What is it?
look at that man sitting over in the corner by himself.
By Jove, yes! His face seems familiar. We've seen him before somewhere.
Of course we have. His name's Oliver Leeming. We met him at the inquest at the Montrevor case.
So we did! Now what on earth do you suppose he's doing out here in the Casbah?
Not on holiday, I'm sure. Mr. Oliver Leeming, if you recall, is a cousin of Douglas Milton's, the man we're searching for. If Milton were ever declared legally dead, Mr. Leeming over there would inherit the title.
It looks to me as if we're not the only people in the Casbah who are searching for the missing heir.
That's true, old fellow. Come on, let's go and talk to the gentleman. Mr. Oliver Leeming. How very odd to meet you here.
Well, well. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, won't you sit down?
Thank you.
A world's a small place, isn't it? Or has someone said that before? I wondered if you'd spot me over here in the corner.
Oh, you saw us then?
Of course. But you seem to be in such deep conversation with that scoundrel Raffi. I didn't like to disturb you.
Very considerate of you, I'm sure. Why are you here, Mr. Leeming?
Oh, I'm on a business trip. This is my day off.
As I recall it, you're in the publishing business.
Correct. What a memory you have, Mr. Holmes.
It seems peculiar that you should be on a business trip here. Are you planning on opening a publishing house in Algiers? Or are you searching the Casbah for new authors?
Why not? I'm a great believer in encouraging new talent.
Mr. Leeming, why don't you admit that you're here for the express purpose of trying to find your cousin, Douglas Milton?
Mr. Holmes, you've discovered my secret. The great Sherlock Holmes and his watchdog have their eagle eyes on me. They know that I succeed to the title if Douglas Milton dies.
Yes, Mr. Leeming, we know that fact.
And you have fathomed my plan to find Douglas before you and kill him so that I may inherit the title. How lucky I am to meet you in the Casbah, where you cannot arrest me. Well, it's a race against time, gentlemen, but I have a head start, as you will soon find out. Goodbye, and best of luck to you.
What an extraordinary fellow. He's joking, of course.
I believe not, Watson. I think he labors under the whimsical belief that the best method of discounting the truth is to state it so baldly that it will not be believed.
Great Scott! Then we must work fast.
Yes, old chap, we must. I'm sure that we're entrants in a race against death. We must get back to the hotel and into our disguises as quickly as possible. After that, we shall visit a young lady named Aisha in the Cafe of 1,000 Sighs. And I am certain, Watson, that it will be the first time that two men have entered the Casbah for the express purpose of preventing a murder.
We'll hear the rest of Dr. Watson's story in just about a second, which gives me time to remind you that if you like the taste of handcrafted wines, then you should pour yourself a glass of Carmere Vineyards and Winery in Plymouth. Carmer is a result of generations of farming and love of the land and the rural life. From their first planting of Zinfandel grapes in 1994, Carmer Vineyards has been producing award-winning wines, from Empress Daisy Zinfandel to La Petite Rachel Syrah. Each sip is sure to be a palate pleaser. All of the vineyards at Carmer have been named after the women in the family, the daughters, granddaughters, and daughters-in-law, making Carmer a true generational winery. The vineyards at Carmer are sustainably farmed, and they are very proud to achieve ecologically balanced vineyards. The combination of well-balanced vines and well-drained hillsides, along with cool summer nights and hot days, are ideal for producing robust red wines. And I do believe that now would be a perfect time to enjoy a glass of their Three Princes Port, which won double gold, best of class, and best of show as well. A memorable port to go along with a memorable adventure. Well, Doctor, I can hardly wait to hear what happens next. You and Sherlock Holmes went back to the hotel, I suppose?
Yes, Mr. Brooks. Holmes quickly adopted the disguise of an Arab guide, while I assumed the role of a tourist, and we started off on our search. Outside the Cafe of 1,000 Sighs, we met with a rude shock. Good Lord, it's the fellow we met in the cafe!
Yes, Oliver Leeming, with a knife between his shoulders.
He's dead, Holmes. Shouldn't we get in touch with the police?
What can they do? Remember, there is no law in the Casbah. In any case, the man is beyond our help. Our job is to protect the living. Come on, old fellow, let's go to the Cafe of 1,000 Sighs and find this girl, Aisha. The girl, Raffi says, sings like a nightingale.
Bye, bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand me. Oh, what hard luck stories they all hand me. So pack my bag and lights a light. I'll arrive late tonight. Blackbird, bye, bye.
Oh, so that's the girl, Aisha. She's very beautiful.
Don't forget our role of tourist and guide, old chap.
Master would wish to meet this Aisha?
Oh, very much indeed.
I will see if it can be arranged, Master.
Wait here for me, Watson. I'll see what I can do.
Right you are, Holmes, but be careful now.
Mademoiselle Aisha?
What do you want, Gracie one?
There is an English gentleman at the table over there. He wishes to talk to Aisha.
Which one is he?
The man who sits at the table in the corner. He is very rich, Aisha, and he admires you a great deal. He told me to give you this 500-franc note.
So, very well. You may bring him to my rooms. The door is at top of stairway, to the right.
Good, Aisha. I fetch him.
I shall be waiting.
Aisha will see you, Master. Follow me, please.
Oh, very well. I hope you know how you're going to handle this, Holmes.
Don't worry, Watson. In this case, I think honesty will be the best policy.
Well, I'm not so sure. This place is a thieves' kitchen if ever I saw one. You'd better be careful.
First door to the right at the top of the stairs. This is it.
Come in. Oh, come and sit over here, Mr. Englishman. Gracie one, you may leave us.
Mademoiselle, I may as well tell you that at once that I am not an Arab guide. My name is Sherlock Holmes.
What do you want with me? Why you trick your way in here?
Do not be frightened, mademoiselle. I can explain our mission in a very few words. My friend and I have come in search of an Englishman by the name of Douglas Milton. We have good news for him.
What makes you think I might know of him?
A gentleman by the name of Rafi suggested that you might.
What is your good news for this Englishman?
That he has been cleared of suspicion of murder, and that he is the rightful heir of Montrevor.
That means when he knows this, he will leave the Casbah and return to his country?
Naturally, my dear.
I do not know this man. I have never heard of him. Here are your 500 francs. Goodbye.
Not so fast, Aisha, ma petite chou. I've been listening from behind these curtains. Gentlemen, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Douglas Milton.
Douglas Milton! We found you at last.
It gives me infinite pleasure to have succeeded in my mission. How do you do, sir?
This is very exciting.
It is indeed.
Yes, I think the occasion calls for a drink. What will it be, gentlemen?
I think a glass of port would be very nice, sir.
Yes, it would be most appropriate for toasting the new Earl of Montrevor.
Splendid, splendid. Aisha, bring glasses and a bottle of 3 Princess Port and some creme de menthe for me.
You are not going to England. I will never let you leave me.
Oh, stop being so melodramatic, Aisha. Please, bring 2 bottles and some glasses.
Very well. I am sorry.
Mr. Holmes, I can't tell you how I appreciate your trouble in coming all this way to find me, but, well, I must tell you at once, there's one problem that makes it difficult for me to leave this country. You see, I deserted from the Foreign Legion.
Yes, we know that, my boy. In fact, that's how we first got on your trail.
I shouldn't let that fact worry you, Mr. Milton. I'm certain the British consul in Algiers can arrange to have any charges dropped against a peer of the realm.
Well, I never thought of that.
Here are the bottles.
You must excuse the glasses, gentlemen. Tumblers are hardly correct, I suppose, but, well, they won't spoil the flavor, I'm sure. 2 glasses of port and creme de menthe for me. Only 3 glasses, Aisha. Bring a glass for yourself.
I do not wish to drink.
And I insist that you do. Bring a glass, Aisha.
Why should I drink if you are leaving me?
Mr. Milton, do you know Oliver Leeming?
Of course, he's my cousin. Yes, he came here half an hour ago and threatened me.
Did you also know that he's lying dead in the street, murdered?
Well, yes. Yes, I did. If it weren't in the Casbah, I wouldn't tell you this, but Aisha stabbed him. She followed him when he left here, killed him, and then slipped back just in time to sing a song a few minutes ago. Oh, you needn't look so shocked, Dr. Watson. Life is cheap in the Casbah, and, well, Aisha is a girl of violent passions. Come on, let's drink.
A toast to the new Earl of Montrevor.
Excuse me, sir. You took the wrong glass. You're drinking my port.
Silly mistake. I can't bear port. Very un-English of me, I'm afraid, but, well, after all these years, I don't feel particularly English. In fact, I'll probably find it very hard to adjust myself to the old life when I go back. Or perhaps I should say, if I go back.
Since you feel that way about it, Mr. Milton, why go? You can claim the title and the revenues of the estate without leaving Algeria. You could stay here and live on the income.
I didn't realize that would be possible. Are you sure I could do that?
Oh, yes, I'm quite certain of it. But if you doubt my word, I suggest we all adjourn to the British consul in Algiers. They can put you straight on the matter.
That's a good idea. Let's go over there at once.
And now I have been listening to you, my friend. You are planning to leave me. Once you go from the Casbah, I shall never see you again.
Put down that knife, Aisha!
I will not let you go. You belong to me. If you try to leave me now,
I will kill you! Put down that knife, Aisha! You've done enough damage for one night!
Why, you...
Put
you
it
stop
down,
her.
you
I will
fool!
never...
Put it down!
Let me go! Let me go! Ah! Oh.
She twisted the knife on herself as she fell.
Holmes, help me turn her over.
Poor Aisha.
She's dead, Mr. Milton.
Oh, poor Aisha.
It's bloody path that leads to the Montrevor title, sir. I suggest that we see this poor girl's body is taken care of, and then go to the British consulate without any further delay. And now that we're at the consulate, Mr. Milton, I suggest that you swear an oath that you are Douglas Milton, heir to the Montrevor estate. This gentleman is a commissioner of oaths. Then we can go in and see the consul.
Very well.
Now, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby solemnly swear that I am Douglas Milton, the missing heir to the Montrevor estate.
I hereby swear that I am Douglas Milton, missing heir to the Montrevor estate.
Thank you, sir. And now, if you'll sign this statement here, these gentlemen can witness it.
There you are.
Thank you, sir. And now, if you gentlemen will sign.
Yes, certainly.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. The document is now legal.
Splendid. Let's go over and see the consul.
Not yet, my friend. Watson, this man is not Douglas Milton.
What the devil are you talking about?
There is no law in the Casbah, sir, so you cannot be punished for the 2 murders you committed there. But now that your avarice has tempted you here to Algiers, where you've been foolish enough to sign a false statement, I think we can at least settle you very nicely for desertion, false impersonation, forgery, and perjury.
Holmes, what do you mean?
The story should be obvious, old fellow. Oliver Leeming did track down the deserter. Recognition was uncertain after so many years, but at least it gave this gentleman the idea of impersonating the real Douglas Milton, a friend of his.
You have a lively imagination, Mr. Holmes.
The real Douglas Milton died of dysentery 2 years ago in Sidi Rashid. As soon as the idea of impersonating Milton was born, Leeming had to die.
Your theories are very interesting, but you haven't a shred of proof. I say that I am Douglas Milton. How are you going to prove otherwise?
Very simply, my dear sir. Douglas Milton was a painter who excelled in the use of vivid colors. You, sir, suffer from the quite common malady of red-green color blindness. Less than half an hour ago, you mistook a glass of port, which is red, for a glass of creme de menthe, which is green. I knew at once that you were an impostor.
You're cleverer than I thought you were, Holmes. Goodbye!
Here, come back!
No, Watson, don't go after him.
But we can't let him escape, Holmes.
Don't worry, old chap. He won't escape. I sent a message to Colonel de Brisson. If you go to the window, I think you'll find that the consulate is being watched. The Legion has a long memory for desertion. I don't think he'll get very far.
They got him, Holmes. Shot him as he was trying to run away.
A just death for him. He lived a life of violence and treachery, Watson. It's only fitting that he should die in the same manner.
Doctor, that was a swell story. But you know something. I wish you hadn't disillusioned me about the Casbah.
Disillusioned you? Why, what do you mean?
Well, before I heard your story, whenever somebody mentioned the Casbah, I always visualized a very glamorous, romantic sort of place full of beautiful women. Every one of them a ringer for Hedy Lamarr.
No.
Yep. And I could just see myself, handsome, dashing, going up to one of those beautiful girls and whispering in my fine French accent, "Darling, you are sensational, you are lovely, gorgeous. Tell me, have you ever tried Carmer wine? It's wonderful." Well, you must admit, Doctor, that is the truth. It is wonderful wine. It certainly ought to be.
You're incorrigible.
Yes. After all, winemaking has been the business of generations at Carmer Vineyards and Winery. They invite you to their beautiful French-style chateau tasting room for complimentary wine tasting. You can try their current popular releases and perhaps even future releases straight from the barrel. The staff of experts at Carmer will help you in finding wine that is just right for you. They also carry a variety of local specialty products for your next special event or picnic. Visit Carmer Vineyards and Winery in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Amador County. Their tasting room hours are daily from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information about Carmer Vineyards and Winery, including special events, visit them on Facebook or online at carmer.com. That is KARMERE.com. For the best wine tasting experience in Amador County, it's Carmer Vineyards and Winery. And don't forget to bring your friends along. You'll be glad that you did. Well, Doctor, I suppose you're ready to tell us about next time's story?
Yes. Next time, I'm going to tell you an adventure in which, for once, Holmes came off second beat. An exciting story of high society and romance. I call it A Scandal in Bohemia.
Boy, that sounds swell. Tonight's Sherlock Holmes adventure is written by Dennis Green and Anthony Boucher and was suggested by an incident in the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle story The Crooked Man, starring Brad Lostwald as Sherlock Holmes and Joe Sveck as Dr. Watson. This evening's episode of the Baker Street Players Radio Theater has been brought to you by the award-winning Carmer Vineyards and Winery, located in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Amador County. Plan your visit to their tasting room today by going to their website, carmer.com. That's KARMERE.com. The Baker Street Players perform tonight before a live studio audience in the heart of Baker Street West, located on the second floor of Hine & Company bookstore on historic Main Street, Jackson. Baker Street West is a Victorian tribute to Sherlock Holmes. Do you love a good story? Baker Street West features dinner mystery theater, Sherlockian plays, afternoon tea mysteries, dramatic afternoon teas, and is a venue for private parties. 8 storefronts await you for your shopping pleasure. Baker Street West, where the game is always afoot. This program is presented from Jackson, California at Baker Street West by KVGC Radio, the voice of the Gold Country, and features the Baker Street Players. A special thank you to the Ledger Dispatch for their support. This is Alexander Brooks speaking.
Murder in the Casbah. Tonight's cast included Brad Lostwald as Sherlock Holmes and Joe Sveck as John Watson. Double duty tonight as Colonel DeBryson and Douglas Milton, Jonathan Sveck. Playing 3 parts tonight, Alex Brooks, the Commissioner of Oaths, also the waiter, and our announcer. Miss Tetfield was performed by Hannah Kreshak. Jake Geedy was Raffi. Oliver Leeming, Rolf Hine, and Alicia was performed by Kylie Adams. Tonight's shows were both directed by Beth Bernard. Sound effects by Kathleen Rich and Dana Kreshak, with special assistance from Wolf Hine and Roger Fugary. Special advice from Melissa Miller as well. Now, for more information on upcoming performances and events, visit BakerStreetWest.com. For KVGC and Baker Street West, I'm Jim Geedy. Have a pleasant evening.